Ditch the distractions and aim for unstoppable. Honest talk about stepping fully into your business and life. Welcome to From Stuck to Unstoppable with your host, Jenn Aubert of Learn Savvy.
Hey, Unstoppable listeners, this is Jenn Aubert. Thanks so much for being here. I'm so excited to welcome our guest today, Dr. Gabrielle Pellicci of womenandwellness.com. Dr. Gabby is a leading expert on holistic medicine, author of Blissful Business, TV host at the Health and Wellness Channel, and expert wellness blogger at Huffington Post and SheKnows.com. She is the founder of womenandwellness.com, and her expertise is regularly featured in national and local media such as MSNBC, the New York Post, and U.S. News and World. Welcome, Gabby. So lovely to have you here.
Hi, Jen. I'm happy to be with you again.
Yes. Always so much fun to talk with you. So today we're talking about, again, a topic that you and I love to talk about, right? Mm-hmm. About why female business owners get so stuck trying to implement other people's blueprints and what they can do about that. This is such a juicy topic and something that can get a lot of women business owners stuck and overwhelmed and obviously distracted. So let's just dive in, because I know we've had this conversation before, but it's one for this community who may not have previously heard us chat or rant or whatever you like to call it. So Gabby, based on your work with women in wellness community and in your own experience, why do you think this arises with women when they're starting and growing a business?
Yeah, I think the number one factor is fear, like fear of the unknown, fear of risk, fear of failure, just all these kind of fears that come up with starting something new and becoming an entrepreneur, which in and of itself is kind of a, it's an ambiguous path. It's a path where you have to rely on yourself to make decisions about what direction you're going to go and who you're going to connect with and who you're going to serve and what your brand is and all this kind of stuff. And there's not a real clear formula for success. We can look at other role models and, we can, follow what other people may have done before us. But ultimately it comes down to really what's our unique contribution and how we're going to, share that contribution with others. So I think fear is a critical factor.
And I like what you said about uncertainty, because I think oftentimes, when a person's starting a business, they've come from either a traditional business, a corporate role, or even, with the health and wellness community, a healer in some sort. And starting a business, there is so much to learn, and then that level of uncertainty. So I know you work a lot with the wellness community. How do you help them manage some of that uncertainty and fear that comes up when they're starting a business?
Yeah, there's so many different resources that I think are available to practitioners and entrepreneurs. The way that I facilitate my community is we have a live call every week, and people get on the call and they talk about whatever is really present for them in their business right now, and I talk them through it, and they get support and feedback from the other members of the community. I'm a huge proponent of community support for whatever you're doing, and then their relationship with me is kind of a relationship of mentoring. So I'm also a huge fan of having a mentor. I had a mentor for 12 years throughout graduate school, and then when I finished, and I felt like that was really a lifeline for me. So those are some things that I think really help practitioners and entrepreneurs. But then also there's a lot of self-care that you can do, a lot of self-management that you can do to break through fear, to manage the uncertainty. For me, it's yoga, meditation, energy medicine, journaling, all the kind of holistic tools, because that's where I'm grounded, and that's, the tools that have worked for me over the years. But, there's so many different kinds of self-care, self-management tools that you can access to, help you stay strong and resilient and confident and that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. And going back to what you said about the unique contribution, that's part of this as well, is that, even though your unique contribution has to do with perhaps what you do in the world, but also there's this unique piece of how you keep healthy, how you take care of yourself. And that has to do with obviously looking inward, right? And figuring out, how do you best work? What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? And like you said, what is your unique contribution in the world? I love that. I love that, because I think what oftentimes happens is that women forget, let's say, because there's so much coming at them, so many distractions, so many blueprints, and you need to do it this way, and you need to, do Facebook ads, and you need to do all that tactical stuff that they often forget what it is that they're actually here to do and to serve.
Yeah.
Do you find that as well?
When I teach my students and I mentor my students, I use this sort of three-pronged approach, for lack of a better word, like a three-legged stool, I guess. And the first part of it is to do the investigation, like what's happening in the marketplace that you're in. So like if you're in acupuncture, like what are other acupuncturists doing, and what is their brand, and who are they serving, and how much do they charge, and that kind of stuff. So there is that one third component, which is the investigation component. And then I believe the second component is a reflection component, where you reflect on what is my fresh take on this? What is my unique contribution? What's my why? Why am I doing this? What's my personal story? What do I bring to the table that other practitioners don't bring to the table? And all of that reflection about who you want to serve and how you serve them. And then I believe that the third part of it is where you sort of connect the dots. It's where can you be present in your community or online or something where you can bring your unique gifts into the marketplace. And so if you don't know what the marketplace is, and or you don't know what your gifts are, then you don't know how you can carry that forward and how you should carry that forward. Like, does the market really need a book? Does it really need a wellness center? Does it really need a podcast? Like, what does it need? And so I feel like you need to have both an internal and an external investigation and reflection in order to really be clear about what you're going to do with your practice.
I love that. And I think that clarity then will help you to, as blueprints or workshops or other learning tools and coaching and things of that nature are out there, you'll be able to filter through it a lot easier, because you'll have these filters in place based on this three-pronged approach that you had mentioned. So that's super important. When you started, I know you've been around a while, and
are you trying to say I'm old?
No way. It's all experience, because you've had, your career has kind of built over time, and you've also been a professor and instructor for many years as well. When you started the business aspect of it, did you find that you were being distracted by, a lot of the different, let's say, shiny programs rather than shiny objects, so shiny programs that were out there? And did that kind of either help you, or did that kind of get you off course?
Well, when I started like 15 years ago, there wasn't really an internet. I mean, there was kind of an internet. I mean, I got email when I was in college, but there was no such thing as Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or any of these things. And so I'm kind of old school in terms of I've always built my business very grassroots, very guerrilla marketing, like going around in my neighborhood and offering my services and participating in local community things. What I did notice was that when I transitioned to building my brand online and building my women in wellness community, all of a sudden I noticed that there was all these coaches and programs and everything being marketed online. And at first I was like, oh, maybe I need all of these things. Maybe I need to take everyone's training. I mean, maybe I need to sign up for all these things. But I'm kind of frugal when it comes to spending money on stuff like that. So for myself, I wanted to be really discerning about the programs that I chose. And so I did more of a deep dive into the different programs. And I noticed that even if there was like 5,000 testimonials on someone's website and stuff, it didn't necessarily mean that it was the right thing for me. If the program outcomes didn't clearly align with my business goals and what I was trying to achieve, then it wasn't, serving me. I also noticed that if it was crazy expensive. It was way out of my price range. It wasn't worth it for me to like max out credit cards or go into debt to take those things. Cause I think that, our business should be making money and we should be investing in coaching and things. But I think that there should be kind of a balance between the money that you're bringing in and the money that you're putting out. And so, the finances was, a factor for me in making those decisions. And also I noticed a pattern that I saw with a lot of things being advertised, which was this, it ends today, last chance, last chance. And I was like, really? And I saw that a lot of business coaches were kind of capitalizing on this fear of missing out, and you have to do it now or you're not going to be successful. And I don't resonate with that message, and I don't respond to a message like that because my business is not adrenaline driven. Like, it's driven by, really solid, sustainable kind of approach to growing something that's going to last a long time. And so my advice is always to my clients and, who's ever in the industry, that there's no quick fix. And so even if you feel this kind of like immediate need to grab onto this shiny object, you have to recognize you're going to get certain kind of skills and tips with different trainings, but it's not going to be a turnkey solution to like a long-term successful business. A business needs to grow over time and build over time. And, it's great to invest in mentoring and programming and things like that. But I think you have to be realistic about what you're getting when you buy those things.
And I like what you said about, growing over time. And I think that, there are going to be certain programs and certain mentors. I mean, I'm sure you saw this as well, where as you grow, the program is going to change, or the needs are going to change, the mentors are going to change. And that quick fix in the beginning, may get you to, let's say, month 5 or but it may not be able to get you to where you need to go. So, there's certain level of wanting to be able to invest in yourself, but also thinking there's going to be constant investment over time. Yes. And let's be very thoughtful about how we do that so we don't blow everything in the upstart.
Yes.
So, and I see that a lot is, it's that first, 0 to maybe 2 years where it's the biggest investment of the business in many ways. You're building your website, you're getting all of your, your tools together to create a business. And then on top of it, you're feeling a little bit uncertain, a little bit insecure. And then you start looking into programs and more, one-on-one coaching. And it could get to be crazy expensive. Expensive. And I like what you said about, earlier about having that filter of knowing, what am I doing? Who am I serving? And does this really make the most sense right now in my business?
Yeah, that resonates with me, this idea of you're going to need all of these things, but you don't need all of them at the same time.
And right now, yeah.
Exactly. Like, there are things that are on my list to do in the future. Like, I have a mailing list, but it's not segmented because the list is not big enough to be segmented. So the mailing list platform that I use is inexpensive and small. And then when I get 200,000 people on the list, then I'm going to upgrade to a more expensive, more robust system where I can segment everything out and different people are getting different messages and stuff. But I know some people that before they build the website, they buy this crazy expensive mailing list system and it sits there for like a year or more, not even being used. Mm-hmm. But someone said they had to have it and they had to have segmented lists.
Right.
So it's not that the information that they got was wrong. It's just not the right timing. So knowing what tools you need at which time, I think, is critical to the long-term success.
That, I love that because it's really true. I mean, you look and you think, do I need lead pages? Do I need Sumo Me? And do I need, ConvertKit? And you see all these things. But what I find is if I look at the source of who's recommending them, and I find that you look at how far they are in their progression, and you say, okay, well, they've been around 10 years. My guess is they probably have a fairly robust list. They have, let me see, they may have a VA and several team members,
Exactly.
that can take the time to learn this stuff. And because that's the other thing too, there's a huge learning curve with a lot of these, the different software that's available, the different programs, the different email systems. I mean, there's a lot to learn. So keeping it at as simple as possible when you're starting out, I think is a recipe for success.
Yeah, and I think it also helps you stay in action mode. If you're sitting home learning how to use all these tools, you're not working.
Exactly.
Right? You're like
Yeah.
sitting home being like, how does ConvertKit work? How does Infusionsoft work? Like, okay, but is that really the best use of your time? Or is it a better use of your time to go down to the local Whole Foods and say, hey, can I give a talk and have 30 people come to the talk and get, a few new clients? Like, is that a better use of your time than sitting at home trying to figure out ConvertKit? So those are the things that I think you need to consider when you're making decisions about how you invest time, energy, money in the startup phase.
Right. And programs, because there's a lot of programs out there that, are just perhaps too robust for you at this time in your business as well. So, yeah. Awesome. So what should women watch out for when they're trying to implement, let's say, your 3-prong approach that you mentioned earlier about investigation, reflection, and kind of connecting the dots? Taking that advice, where do you find that some people might get stumbled up? Just so we can make sure that when they take this advice, they're off and running.
Yeah. First and foremost, I see a lot of procrastination, and I think that some people are not even aware that they're doing it, right? And it comes in the form of what I was just saying, like too much learning, not enough doing, hiding at home behind the computer, spending too much time on social media, investing in more and more programs and not implementing the things that you're learning. And I see all of that under the umbrella of like procrastination.
Yeah.
And I think it goes back to what I said at the beginning, which is I think that goes back to fear, like a little bit of self-doubt, some insecurity, some uncertainty, that kind of stuff I think is fueling the procrastination. I see practitioners and entrepreneurs making excuses. And I think it's coming from a place of like an inner critic voice and not their real authentic voice. And I think that, we have to become aware of the inner critic who's telling us like, oh, you can't do this. It's not safe. It's that voice is designed to protect us. But if we feed that voice and we cultivate that voice, then I feel that it sabotages us and it prevents us from actually doing what we need to do for the business. So for me, the voice inside of me that supports me and inspires me and encourages me, I like to really cultivate that voice and to help that voice to advocate on my behalf and help me to tell the inner critic, okay, calm down, like it's going to be fine. We're not going to be homeless. Like we're not going to die if we if we send this email or something. So I really feel that I have to make a conscious effort and encourage other people to make a conscious effort to really nourish and nurture that part of me inside that maintains the inspiration and the motivation.
I love that. An advocate on your behalf. Right?
Yes.
You really need it. You need it because the constant back and forth, the constant chatter, like you said, the procrastination, because that procrastination just keeps you from making any steps, from going outside of your comfort zone. That's kind of goes along with perfectionism, right? People won't necessarily launch. They won't send out an email until it's absolutely perfect. Well, there's nothing that's going to be perfect. Your product, your email, your talk, there's always going to be some little level of imperfection, which is okay. You just need to get it out there.
Nobody likes people who are perfect. Like,
that is true too.
You see that, like maybe you see that lady and like her hair is perfect and her nails are perfect and her outfit is perfect, and you just look at her and you're like, it doesn't make you feel good. Mm-mm. But then you see somebody who's like, just real and down to earth and authentic and saying, oh, I'm doing this, but it's kind of hard. It's kind of pain in the butt, but I'm doing it anyway. And, that person, you feel much more connected and engaged with someone, I think, who's coming from a place of, true authenticity.
I love it. I love it. So now we're going to move on to the Savvy 6 segment, which is basically about you and having you share a few of the resources. And you kind of mentioned a little bit about your self-care routine earlier, but this is a part where it's always great to get little juicy bits of goodness that you can maybe even implement into your own life. So are you ready?
I'm ready.
Awesome. So what is your favorite business or personal growth book?
Well, not to be self-promoting, but I wrote a book called Blissful Business, which I really like. And I'm writing another book, which I'm excited about. And your book is amazing. So just for a shout out to you, I contacted you because of your book. So I think those are great resources. I read about 40 books a year because I'm very nerdy and I love to read. So I would say just find a genre that you're crazy about. I love memoir, so I like to read memoirs of successful entrepreneurs and practitioners. That's like sort of my favorite topic. I would say find what gets you excited, even if it's not directly related to your business. You'll still find cool ideas that you might be able to implement.
I love that because it's amazing what we can learn from being outside of the business world. Mm-hmm. So that is great advice. So share your favorite resource or tool when it comes to running your business.
I'm a huge fan of social media. Most of my business comes from Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram. So I'm a big fan of social media. I also love Zoom. I use Zoom for all my mastermind calls with my women. I use it for my podcast interviews, and I find it very user-friendly and just nice to use.
Awesome. What's your ideal self-care routine?
I love to sleep. I'm a big fan of sleeping. And I love to be outside. So I like to get outside at least once a day and for several hours on the weekends.
Awesome. What's the most unusual trait, characteristic, tool, or point of view that you bring to your business?
My sense of humor. I am an improv actor, and I'm currently in post-production on some parody videos because I love to laugh, and I think that we take ourselves way too seriously when we do this kind of stuff. So I'm trying to inject a lot of humor and laughter into my business.
Great. What has you most inspired today?
I just came back from a really, really yummy conference in San Diego, and I met like 300 brilliant, talented health and wellness practitioners and experts, and I feel just kind of like I'm overflowing with all that good energy.
Awesome. What is your favorite words of wisdom or best advice ever given to you?
I have an inner practice that I do. It's a meditation that one of my Buddhist teachers taught me. And you go inside and you connect to yourself many, many years in the future. And I go inside and I talk to her and I ask her advice about things. And she reminds me that all of this stuff that we're doing, all of these things around me are very fleeting and very impermanent, whereas my true nature is just vast and infinite. And when I tap into that, I feel a real kind of calm and ease that lets me make decisions in a more peaceful way. So that helps me stay really grounded in my truth and not get too thrown off by the stuff we're talking about.
I love that. Because the bigger picture, right? The bigger picture.
Absolutely.
So to wrap up, what one action can our listeners take today to become unstoppable?
You must do something you're scared of today.
Yay!
You must do something that scares you and gets you outside your comfort zone.
I love it. I love it. And lastly, where can people find you?
You can find me at women-in-wellness.com. And like I said, I'm all over social media. My name, Gabrielle Polici. And anyone that's listening, I offer a free 15-minute discovery session where you can tell me what you're doing or what programs you're considering or where you're stuck. And I'm happy to brainstorm with you and give you some support.
Take her up on it. She's fantastic. Thanks, Gabby, so much for being here and sharing your awesome wisdom with all of us. And thanks to our Unstoppable community for joining us today. If you've enjoyed what you've heard and think you could benefit a friend, please share and like. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Go out there, be savvy, be unstoppable, and we'll see you next time.